Hello, crypto boys and ghouls, and welcome back to the channel, Tales from the Cryptmancer, where we feature content on play-to-earn games on the blockchain, such as Splinterlands. And in today's video, I want to talk about the current environment for Splinterlands. And is Splinterlands ready to run? Is it ready to spread its wings and soar? And can we expect some potential movement, upward movement, in the price of SPS in the near term? Let's talk about it. And to kind of set the framework for our conversation today, I wanted to replay a very important segment of the recent town hall from earlier this week with Matt talking about the current plans for ranked rewards. And let's listen to this.
Yeah, so I mean, the response to dealing with the issues in the economy had been reducing rewards. And primarily in like Bronze League, because that's where the majority of these bots or reward farming accounts were playing. But it was also, we were hesitant to increase rewards generally across any part of the ecosystem, because there were also still a lot of other kinds of exploits and things, across all leagues, and we need to deal with the core of the problems before we just go ahead and start increasing rewards, because if we just increase rewards and there are underlying issues, then it just makes things worse. So now that I feel like we've really addressed the core of a lot of the issues, we're confident that we can go ahead and increase the rewards significantly, and it will work out okay. And the reason it will be okay is because we've now made it more of a free market system. So if you want to earn the rewards, you have to put money into the system to buy or rent cards. And this is, a lot of people pointed out like, oh, it's so cheap to rent an entire, deck of the starter cards, cents a day, if not even less. So the bots will just do that, and then they'll keep operating. And then we haven't actually addressed anything. But the thing is, yes, right now, those cards are super cheap to rent because most of the players don't actually need to rent them. So if you switch it to a system, and there's hundreds of thousands of these accounts. So if hundreds of thousands of accounts now have to rent all of these cards in order to earn rewards, the prices won't stay where they are, right? So it's, basically we set the rewards to a certain level that seems reasonable, and then the free market will automatically adjust prices, right?
So Matt said three very important things during that 30-second clip. And let's review what those three critical items are. The first is that Matt acknowledged, and the Splinterlands dev team acknowledged, that the game has hundreds of thousands of bots currently in the game. Now that's not 100,000 bots, that's hundreds of thousands of bots in the game. Now we know that there are 400,000 daily active users on average using the game today. And when he's saying there's hundreds or multiple hundreds of thousands of bots, well, it's definitely greater than 200,000 bots, and it's less than 400,000 because that's the daily active users we have. So there could definitely be anywhere between 200 to 300,000 bots in the game, and the Splinterlands dev team has acknowledged that. So that's a key piece of information that we really haven't had definitively. Now, Splinterlands, the company, obviously has the most data and details around bots. So if they're saying they have more than 200,000 bots in the game, well, I tend to believe them. Now hold on to that piece of information because it's very important for some of our future discussions here in this video. But let's talk about the second critical point that was discussed. The next item we want to understand is that, hey, there are going to be increased rewards being given out in this game, significantly increased rewards being given out in Splinterlands in the very near future once ranked rewards, the new ranked rewards system is released. And that ties into the third critical point here, is that in order to receive said increased rewards, the players, whether you're a human or a bot, you're going to be strongly incentivized to hold Splinterlands assets, to either hold or acquire cards or rental cards. So this is a great segue to talk about what this could mean for the economy for Splinterlands moving forward. And let's just talk about it from purely a card perspective, a card economy point of view. So what do we know about the current economy? Well, we know that a majority of the user base or the players in the game are extracting value from the economy today because the Splinterlands dev team has acknowledged at least 200,000 or at least 50% of the daily active users in Splinterlands are essentially extracting value as bot farms. So yes, and I know that's maybe a controversial statement, but we have to come to the realization that bot farms are not adding money into the game. They're actually extracting money into the game. If I'm a bot farm owner, what does it take for me to run a bot? Well, it takes a $10 spellbook, which is $10 that goes to the Splinterlands company, and then I just run my bot farm and I rent cards at around 100 DEC in rentals a day to earn rewards. Now, with those rewards, I'm not buying new cards. I'm not doing anything that's adding to the card market, and we've proven that in our previous videos. So as a bot farm owner, again, I'm putting $10 into the game to get started with an initial bot account. And I do this times 10,000 or 20,000 accounts. That all goes to Splinterlands, the company, but none of it goes back into the economy as far as the card market goes. And you may say, well, the bots are renting 100 DEC per account per day to continue to farm rewards. Well, let's look at what that means in the grand scheme of things. If we go into the card market here, we can see the daily active rentals is $5,280 is being rented on a daily basis in the game. So yeah, the bots are putting in, let's say, $5,000 a day into the game, but that's, in the grand scheme of things, really trivial. Look at the card sales here, and that's at almost $84,000 a day, and that's from people like you or me buying cards. We already know that for the most part, the bots historically have not bought any cards, because if you go to their accounts, they're only selling, they don't own any cards. So again, the ratio here, $5,000 a day versus $84,000 a day, you and I are putting real money into the game. We're putting crypto in, we're putting PayPal in, we're putting real money into the ecosystem. And guess what? That's how an economy works. Money comes in, money gets circulated around, and if you have only one end of the spectrum taking, and that's a majority of the economy being bots, if that's taking from the game, well, if you're putting money in, the game's not growing because more money's going out than coming in. Well, that's all about to change, because what Matt has basically said is whether you're a bot or whether you're a human, moving forward, if you want to continue to earn in the game, you're going to have assets in the game in some form or fashion, whether you rent those assets through the rental market or whether you buy those through the card market. In either case, whether you're human or bot, now you have money that's circulating around at a minimum, and more money probably going in to the game to continue to get more and more assets that are being printed in the game. The one piece of critical information to remember here is that the bots aren't going to be able to continue to behave as they typically have and just rent that 100 DEC a day. With the changes to the removal of reward earnings through the removal of starter or ghost cards, plus the addition of the daily focus and the reward shares to earn those daily chests, this totally changes the environment that the bots now need to operate into. And again, the amount of rentals or cards that these bot farms or owners are going to need to add, just like you or I potentially, is going to be significant. This is a huge shift in the grand scheme or the macroeconomics of the card market, both the purchase market and the rental market, that should be accounted for. And we're already maybe seeing some of this start to take hold with the Splinterlands savvy investors. And what do I mean when I say that? Well, let's look at peak monsters here. Look at some interesting statistics over the last 48 hours. Look at this. In the last 48 hours, our traditional new players buying spell books and signing up here. Our new players was roughly 800 players, under 1,000 players for pretty much the last 30 days. And what happened 2 days ago? We had almost 3,000 new players sign up, 2,833. And yesterday we had 1,870, so almost 2,000. So in the last 48 hours, we've had a 3x and a 2x in the number of new players signing up. Now the spell books have maintained roughly the same, but there's definitely been an interest in the game already on the uptick as we've seen some of these ranked reward changes come into effect. And let's look at a couple other statistics that are very interesting in the last, let's say, 72 hours. You can see here, the red line shows the number of cards purchased. That spiked to almost 210,000 3 days ago. It then went to 152,000 2 days ago and was back up to 170,000 just yesterday. You can see here the typical average here has been anywhere between 110,000 to 100,000. So it's a significant influence or increase here of almost a 2x to a 1.5x over the last 72 hours in the amount of cards purchased, as well as the amount of dollars in cards purchased. It went from around $70,000 being purchased to 120,000 to 92,000 to 86,000. So we've seen increase in the market traffic and dollar amount in the last few days that corresponds to the new players that are signing up. And one other thing to note here, if we look at the token prices over the last 72 hours or 3 days, the token price is roughly the same for SPS here. It was actually higher 4 days ago than it was in the last 3 days. So the token price for SPS has not responded yet to this influence or increase in number of users and card volume in the marketplace. And the final thought that I will leave you with is if we look at one other factor in the game, and that is the total supply of SPS and the total liquid and the total staked, what you can see here is that the total staked amount of SPS, 389,804,000, is more than the total liquid in the marketplace, which is 378,998,000. So for the first time in quite a while, we have more than 50% of the total liquid or total amount of circulating supply of SPS is now staked in the game. That means more than 50% of the SPS available is no longer on the market. And in addition to that, we know that the private investors are no longer getting dropped SPS. So the amount of SPS coming into the ecosystem is now just basically through the SPS airdrop. And so we have a reduction in supply of SPS in the market. And we know that the SPS airdrop is ending in less than 2 months. So further reduction in supply on the market. One last item to remember is that just in a few days, we're going to have the node pre-sale for the validator licenses, and 80% of all SPS purchased in that process will be burned. So continued deflationary pressure on the SPS token. So not financial advice, but just keep all of these factors in mind as you look at the price of SPS today and what it could be in the near future. So, are you excited about the ranked rewards system being released? Is this good for the game? Will it make a significant positive impact? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And until next time, keep stacking those stats.